Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry, episode 4. So last time Sakurako has entered the world. He has a new form, and it was quite fun seeing Maria with Beatrice and Virgilia last time, right? That was pretty nice. So let's see what happens here. And yeah, I don't know who this is.
1987年4月のことです。私は友人からある奇妙な依頼を受けました。
In April 1987, I received a certain strange request from a friend.
とある大富豪の遺品である蔵書が大量に競売にかけられていて、その一部に民族学的にも考古学的にも、あるいはオカルト的な意味でも極めて価値の高いものが含まれていると思われる。
Ooh, the former possessions of a very rich man that were being sold at an auction. Occult sins. Wait, Kinzo's items? Is that it?
その価値を内密に見てほしいというのです。
87年、六軒島での事件の半年後。
さようです。
Dude, who is this guy?
それらの蔵書は六軒島での難を逃れたものと説明されていました。それを島の所有者である後宮エバ氏が競売に出したというのです。
This was apparently a high-class restaurant. A middle-aged man was sitting across from NJ in a secluded and quiet seat. Amakusa could be seen by the entrance. He was probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Sumadera family. The scholarly man across from NJ spoke politely but with enthusiasm. He didn't lay a finger on the food in front of him, so you could tell how excited he was as he spoke fervently. He was a professor at a certain college and a particularly well known as an authority on Western folklore. However, among his life works, that was only a convenient exterior. His true life work was the study of occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and everything else to do with the occult, as well as a demonology. In short, he was a person in the best position to understand the details of Kinzo's research.
まず蔵書を鑑定して分かったことは、後宮エバ氏には民族学的な教養は全くなく、そしてその蔵書の本来の持ち主である後宮金蔵氏は、日本で五子に入る悪魔学の権威であったことは間違いないということです。
April 1987, a major antique shop obtained a large quantity of ancient documents that were thought to have a high historical value. They were entrusted with them by Ushirimiya Eva, who wanted them to be sold at an auction, or sold, At the time, it was thought that Eva would succeed the Ushirimiya family and have all the wealth to herself as the only survivor. However, at the point, not even half a year has passed since the accident, and the others had not been missing long enough to be presumed dead, even under extraordinary circumstances. Oh. Not even half a year had passed. The others had not been missing long enough. Okay. So yeah, I guess for some, maybe they found the bodies, and for some they didn't. Because of that, Ava had supposedly been in a very tight spot financially, unable to even collect on her family's life insurance. It seems she tried to sell everything of value, and even the books kept in the place where she'd escaped harm in Kawadorian were used for this purpose. These old books, which would eventually be called the Ushirimiya Library, were later gathered from antique shops by authorities in the field so they could be appraised, and those authorities were astounded.
少なくとも神秘学の見地から言えば、その発見が世界に与えた衝撃は、司会文書発見にも匹敵するものでした。後宮蔵書には、なんと1000年以上にもわたる間、その存在だけが知られているにもかかわらず、
Professor Otsuki. I just realized the name. What is this, Naruto?
発見されていなかった数々の極めて重要な文献さえ含まれていたからです。
The many dreams of the occult, such as those represented by alchemy, always stirred an intense fascination in dilettantes. It is whispered that many magic books of great historical value, currently unknown to the public, might be in the secret possession of extremely wealthy lovers of the occult. But I guess so, right? I mean, we have a lot of history, yeah, in humanity, right? Imagine the books of the people back then. That would be fascinating to see, man. Items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular, are said to be prime examples of this. Yeah, if I could see like that, then I would be really fascinated. It is said approximately 5,000 pages of those books currently exist and that 10,000 have been lost. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be monopolized by certain enthusiasts and members of the extremely rich. It is said that because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away and unannounced notebooks. There's probably no doubting that Oshinomiya Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. No one knows what Kinzo went through to obtain those, but there can be no mistake that he used his vast wealth freely, buying them off other rich people with the same hobby as him. Those books, which were so valuable that enthusiasts could never satisfy their desire to hoard them away, were discovered in large numbers at the end of the 20th century. And their release to the public had given the entire world a massive shock.
この一件により、六軒島の名は全世界に知れ渡ることになります。そして同時に、六軒島の事故によって、未発見のさらに価値ある蔵書が大量に失われた可能性が高いことも、全世界に衝撃を与えました。これにより、六軒島と後宮蔵書の名は、我々にとって生涯忘れないものとなったのです。
Our memories that are probably meant the occult neck of the woods with the same hobby as Kinzo. Because of that incident, the name Rokkenjima had taken on a vital meaning in the world of the occult. There certainly had been a lot of reporting about the accident on Rokkenjima itself, but not on an international level. However, this one part had spread across the world, taking the image of Rokkenjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago and painting it over as a demonic island where riddles, suspicion, mystery, and occult met. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked to the public eye, or public Eva, or by Eva, I say public eye, leaked to the public by Eva, Rokkenjima had been merely a nameless island that no one could remember. And certainly not the island of a witch. However, when knowledge of the Shinomiya library spread all over the planet, Rokkenjima's image immediately took on an occultic twist.
そして、そこへ起こるのが例のメッセージボトル事件です。これがあの島を魔女の島に変えた。伊豆諸島の無名の小島がオカルトの島へ、そして謎の魔女ベアトリーチェの島へと変遷していったのです。後宮蔵書とメッセージボトル、このどちらが欠けても六軒島魔女伝説は成り立たなかったと言えます。
メッセージボトル。
はい。空の瓶に手紙を封印し海に投じるという不特定対象への通信方法です。無人島から SOS を発信するというのが有名ですが、海外の有名推理小説の影響で、自らの死後に真実を告白するという時間差的な遺書としても知られるようになりました。六軒島メッセージボトル事件はまさにこの後者だったのです。
近くの島の漁師が拾っていたというやつですね。
さようです。 式根島の若い漁師が手紙入りのワインボトルを拾っていたことが分かったのです。この若い漁師は興味本位からそれをたまたま保管していました。それが後宮蔵書で六軒島が世界的注目を浴びたため公表したというのです。
その漁師による捏造の可能性は？
I mean, it's possible, right?
もちろんその可能性も否定できませんでした。ワインボトル内のノート片には後宮家のとある人物の署名がされていました。後宮マリアという少女です。
マリア。
しかし彼女の遺品の肉質から別人の筆跡であることが確認されました。
It was confirmed that this message was written in a different person's handwriting. Okay.
別人の筆跡？
But yeah, it's signed as Maria though. Like even though I guess people know the names of the Oshirimiya family. They could fabricate it like that. But still.
さようです。少なくとも少女より達筆で年齢のある人物によって書かれたことは疑いようがないでしょう。
So it was written by a person more skilled at writing and of a greater age than her.
彼女の名を語った何者かが執筆した可能性が極めて高かったのです。よってこの時点ではノート編の内容の信憑性は薄いと考えられました。
So they didn't really trust it. However, later on it was confirmed that a similar message bottle had been recovered from the nearby ocean on the day of the accident by the police in their search for lost articles, and this caused a sensation.
警察は現場の状況とボトルの封印状況から捏造の可能性は低く、事故直前の数日以内に投棄したものと判断したようです。また双方の筆跡は一致しました。これにより漁師の発見したノート片の信憑性が増すこととなりました。メッセージボトルの内容については週刊誌などが繰り返し報道しているようですが、説明がいりますかな？
いいえ。一応知っていますので。
Many scraps of paper had been stuffed into both the wine bottles. But yeah, what does it say though? Even though let's say it's fake, what does it say? It was an extensive notebook written by someone calling themselves Oshirimiya Maria, but who wasn't Maria, in which told the events starting the day before the accident and up until the day of the accident in a diary-like way. Okay. But then again, there's no really story, right? I mean, Ava didn't really, I guess, tell to the public, so... And it's a different... let's say it's a different as well, because... No, what I mean is, the experiences of, let's say, for example, Maria had written this, right? This is her notes. So, yeah, Ava couldn't really confirm this, I guess. I don't know. And its contents had been the beginning of the witch's legend serial murder incident, as well as the Golden Witch Beatrice's puzzle. So if someone had written this, or I guess it's a different person, I mean, could someone, for example, survive but not show themselves? And then planted this? Like, for example, let's say Maria survived, right? And then, yeah, after all these years. But then again, it said 1987, right? Did they say the date? Actually, I wasn't looking so closely here. Did it say the day? When they found it? Yeah, I was not really looking if they said a date. Like when they found the notes. Okay, never mind. Let's continue first. Let's continue.
この奇妙な日記風式には、台風で島に釘付けにされた後宮家の親族たちが魔女復活の儀式に巻き込まれ、次々に不可解な方法で殺されていく様子が記されていました。そして最後に黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェが蘇り、まるでそれこそが当日の全容であるかのように記されていました。 また、当時の島の状況についても非常に詳しく描写されており、後宮家に勤務したことがある元の使用人たちは、間違いなく内部に詳しい人間が書いたに違いないと証言しました。
そのおかしな幻想小説と後宮蔵書以降のオカルトブーム、そして結局は真相は闇の中という3つが合わさり、六軒島の魔女伝説を生み出したと。
さようです。すでに10年以上が経過した事件ですが、未だに世界のオカルトマニアの関心を集めています。
Okay, correct. More than 10 years have already passed since that case, and it is still the focus of interest for occult enthusiasts across the world.
いや、むしろ時間を得て、ますますに深刻化されたと言っていい。上陸禁止になっている六軒島に、密かに上陸しようというマニアも未だに多いとか。
I mean, of course, a lot of people would want to know what happened with this mystery, right? Like a bunch of rich people, and then most of them, not even most, like all of them except one, right, died. So who and on a island, and then you're seeing this, right? There's a golden land, Beatrice. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, a lot of people would be interested in knowing what really happened.
未だ未発見のメッセージボトルがあるのではないか。そしてあの日、あの島で本当は何があったのか。
That is the biggest question. What really happened on that island that day?
未だに議論はつきませんとも。
Biggest question, man. As though he had finally remembered that he'd been going on and on for some time, the man took a gulp of water. His potage was getting cold, but it seemed that the man's hunger had already been blown away.
確か漁師のノート編と警察のノート編で内容が全く違うと聞きましたが。
The police's scraps of paper had completely different content.
さようです。このせいで六軒島ミステリーはさらに面白みが増したのです。2つのボトルの中身はどちらも事故前日から当日までを記した日記風の式です。しかしその内容は共に前日から当日を記した内容であり、にもかかわらず内容は全く異なったのです。
So both contents were the same. Oh no, I mean the style is the same. 2-day period, but yeah, let's say the explanation of what happened was different.
まるでどちらかが真実で、どちらかが虚偽のように。
So definitely someone was faking this for sure, and then maybe like just putting it in the water, right?
あるいは両方とも虚偽なのかもしれない。しかし始まりと終わりだけは一致するのです。
Yeah, like fabricating this stuff.
始まりは親族たち18人は台風で島に閉じ込められた。
You could say like maybe like I'm getting another theory here. Maybe someone survived that event, right? Let's say one of the family members. Let's say at least one. Maybe not even the family members. Maybe a servant survived. And then why? But yeah, then again, why fabricate this then? I don't know. We'll see.
そして終わりは全員が死に黄金の魔女が蘇り、すべては黄金鏡に飲み込まれる。
But that would be really cool though. For example, imagine Maria survived. But then again, they didn't say any date though. Yeah, they didn't say any date when the bottles were found. But this is impossible. For example, it's like a year after the incident. Let's say 1-2 years after the incident. And then that's maybe quite impossible that Maria had, for example, had survived and written this. Right? But for example, it says like, oh, the bottles were discovered 10 years later. Maybe you could say that, right? Maybe you could say like, maybe she could do that if she survived, for example. She could add mystery to what happened to that place. But I don't know, I'm just thinking, I'm just theorizing here. The contents of both messages or message bottles wrote about the events of the day before the accident and the day of the accident. Okay. But the details were completely different. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of the sacrifices, the way they died, and even the tale of the 2 days were different. However, in both, everyone died, and in the end, the witch revived, making for the same general plot. So, you could say that, yeah, I mean, like the games we've been playing, right? Like the outline is the same. Yeah, how do I say this? Yeah, both. Let's change a little bit. Both games outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of the sacrifices, the way they died, and even the tale of the 2 days were different. So yeah, you could say that. Like, the bottles and the games are pretty much the same, right? Yeah, you could say that, man. Similar style, but other than that, yes, you could compare it to that. The games that Butler Beatrice has been playing to these bottles right here. Okay.
あの島で何があったのか。唯一の生存者である後宮エバ氏が沈黙していた以上。
This is very interesting, man. Very, very interesting.
あの2日間の出来事は全てが闇の中です。この2つの日記はその闇を埋める仮説を、こともあろうか、2つも提示してみせたのです。どちらの日記でも2日間を説明できる。しかし、どちらが正しいのか、あるいは正しいことが含まれているのかさえわからないのです。
Schrodinger's cat box. If it isn't denied, even a mixture of truth and fiction can be truth. Through the media, these scraps of paper had of course been shown to Ava as well, but in the end she never broke her silence.
誰が何のためにメッセージボトルを？
事件10周年特集を組んだ雑誌が以前大々的に取り上げたでしょう。あの仮説が今日では最も支持を集めているようです。しかし、面白みには欠ける。あの島であの日、何が起こったのか。それを考えるのが、ウィッチハントの醍醐味なのですな。
ウィッチハント？
ああ、ロッキン島ウィッチハントとは、この事件の真相をオカルトの側面から説明しようと試みるマニアの集いのことです。後宮蔵書から謎の2日間。そして、黄金の魔女の伝説など、ロッケン島に関わる謎は今でもマニアの間で盛んに議論されているのです。10周年の時には、ニューヨークで国際コンベンションも開かれました。私も日本の代表として参加してきましてね。海外の熱心なウィッチハンターと様々な交流をしてきましたよ。海外では魔女はとても人気のあるカテゴリーでしてね。参加者の年齢幅も、下は小学生から、上は著名な文化人まで実に幅広い。日本でも近年ようやく。
You probably don't need any more explanations, but he's one of the most famous Rokkenjima witch hunters in Japan. Even though I didn't ask anything more, he kept continuing on excitedly all by himself. As I swirled the thin film on my potage with my spoon, I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Looks like researching about the message bottle was really a waste of my time. No, if there's one thing I found, it's that the notebook supposedly written by Maria Onechan was actually written by a different person, faking her name. What? And that person wrote up an occult legend on their own, put it into the bottles as though it was the truth, and threw it into the ocean. I have a question though. Why would they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With a message bottle, there'd be no guarantee that it ever passed into anyone's hands. If their luck had been bad, it could have sunk into the ocean, never to be seen by anyone. And even if someone had picked it up, they might have cared about it and thrown it away. Why would they entrust their confession of the truth to the sea with such an uncertain method? And why would they write up multiple different tales? If there had been one message bottle claiming that its story was the truth, it might be reckless, but not impossible. However, because there were two, that made both of them doubtful. If someone was plotting to make out those 2 days to be the work of a witch, then they really did go one step too far. And because there were two, it suggests that an undiscovered third one, or possibly even more, might exist. So the thing about this is, yeah, as we're reading this, as we're hearing this, I'm actually like thinking like, maybe one person survived, at least one. And these bottles, are made by that person. And then they're like, let's say this person get traumatized with the event that happened and just kept making like different stories about what happened on that island that day. That's why they say, or that's why the style is outlined as the same, right? The same, but the sacrifices, how it was played out was different. But it's still the same. 2 days, diary style, same kind of outline, but the contents are just different all in all. So it may be something like that. Maybe someone survived. I think this is one of some of the truths, I guess. Someone survived it. Traumatized by the event. Maybe went back there. But why? But if someone survived, why didn't that person go to Ava, right? That is another question though. Why? Maybe if he went back to Ava? Like, maybe if that person went back to Ava, that person would remember the events. And it's traumatizing. I don't know, man, but this is certainly one of the best, I guess, again, mysteries or just questions that we got in this episode now. Quite early in the episode, but this is fascinating for some reason for me. It's cool. It's cool. And as I said earlier, it reminds me of the games that we've been playing, right? Or Butler and Beatrice has been playing. So let's just say the first game, or let's say the first episode, right? Let's not count it, for example, because that was the first one. Beatrice and Butler were not playing a game at that moment, right? And then we start the second episode. That is technically the first game that they played. And the third episode, that's a second game that they played. And now we have 2 bottles here. Same style. Different, same 2 days, but different contents. Similar to the games. What if Butler, what if you could say, what if Butler survived and he made this? Dude, that's so, I don't know, man. Because Butler is the main character, right? But then you have Mario as well. I don't know. We'll see. This just made it, again, more questions and stuff like that. Theorizing. I like this. Anyways, and because there were two, it suggests that an undiscovered third one, or possibly even more, might exist. Okay, sorry. No, instead of continuing, actually like hidden it. Okay, sorry. In other words, the 2 differing contents makes both of them harder and harder to swallow. But despite the contents of both matched in that they told a witch in a tale. So is that the main point of the writer wanted to get across on us? It seems to me that only possible explanation is that someone who wanted to give rise to an illusion of a witch carried out this crime for their own enjoyment. However, the 17 people other than Aunt Ava lost their lives, and a vast wealth, or maybe even 10 tons of gold, had moved around secretly in the darkness. It doesn't feel right for a confession occurring after all that to bring up this illusion of the witch. Even if we ignore the magazine's theories, it's very doubtful that the message bottle really was a diary. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It's hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder like that would be able to calmly write it down. In that case, it's probably more realistic that this diary was written down slowly over a long period of time up until the day prior to the accident. But yeah, I don't know if when this bottles was found though. I'll check the video later and see if they mentioned it. But if they did mention it, I'm probably wrong with my theories here, but we'll see. In that case, wouldn't it mean that everything in Rokkenjima was a planned crime with everything prepared for over a long stretch of time? The fact that Aunt Ava left this world without saying anything is infuriating. Very true. Like, she was the only survivor. She could have told you, even Angie, I mean, right? What really happened, but no. Why did she hide it though? What is the reason? Why didn't she say anything? She definitely said it on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling the truth was it because it was her best way of harassing me. Yeah, I mean, kinda though, right? Like Angie wanting to know the truth on what happened with her parents, for example. Or not her parents, her family in general. And then, yeah, with Ava knowing this, she is the only one who knows this in the whole world. So, yeah, it's kind of like that though. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, by now it's painfully obvious. Of all things Aunt Ava did to harass me, this was probably the last and the greatest. But thinking of it this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aunt Ava is a true culprit. Of course, that's not because the handwriting on the message bottle was different from Aunt Ava's or anything like that. It's because in both tales that were discovered, Aunt Ava was included among the victims. See? It's just like the other games, right? She was one of the victims. If the writer of the diary was the culprit, maybe Aunt Ava was also one of the targets to be killed. No, what I mean is, like the writer, for example, the survivor, is writing different stories on what might happen that day. Yeah, probably like super traumatized, don't really remember how it happened, like fully. So they're making different kinds of stories. Maybe there's more bottles that we will find in the other episodes or in this episode in general. But it's probably that's what's happening right now. Survivor can't really remember what's happening or what happened at that island. So the only way they could do it is just make different kind of stories. Maybe Aunt Ava had survived because something had gone wrong. Because I hated Aunt Ava, I came to believe that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottle makes me suspect that the mastermind is a far more profound and unknown person than her. This is so good, man. I looked at the clock. I've heard more than enough. It's time. As he continued to speak fervently, I suggested that I wanted to bring this discussion to a close. He seemed to be aware that he'd gotten excited and talked too much, so he quickly accepted it.
今日は本当にありがとうございました。貴重なお話が聞けたと思います。
いえいえ。ウィッチハントの新しい仲間に若いお嬢さんを迎えできて本当に楽しかったです。今日は貸しを変えてしまったのでお見せできなかった貴重な資料がいくつもあります。次の機会の時にはぜひそれをお見せしましょう。
ありがとう先生。最後に聞いてもいいですか？
はい、何でしょうか。
先生はどうして魔女に、いえ、神秘学や悪魔学に興味を？
それを言われると恥ずかしい。不思議な力が使えたなら、意地悪なガキ大将にも負けないのに。という子供の頃の妄想が、そのままライフワークになってしまっただけです。未知なる力への憧れというプリミティブな願望は、今も昔も普遍的ですからな。
先生は、なれるものなら魔女になりたいですか？思うがままに魔法を使ってみたいという夢を、今も？
もちろんですとも。この年になり、そういうものが実在しないと理屈では分かっていても、それでもなお、空を飛んでみたい、鉄くずを黄金に変えてみたいという子供のような夢は忘れられずにいます。学生たちにはどうか内密に。
私が、実は魔女だと言ったら、お信じになります？
女は魔女である。というのが、私のささやかな女性経験からの持論です。
Okay. Angie snorted out the old professor, who must have been an earnest scholar with barely any experience with women.
そうそう。最後にもう一つだけ質問を。先生は、メッセージボトルの実物をご覧になったことは？
Original message bottle.
ありますとも。
では、その筆跡についてもお詳しいですか？
もちろん。その道の専門家ではありませんが、メッセージボトルの筆跡に関してだけは、日本で最も詳しいと自負していますとも。
At that point, Angie set a book on the desk with a thud.
これは？
Oh, she's gonna show if the writing is the same.
初めて見るものです。
He prided himself on his thorough knowledge of all literature related to Rokkenjima, and he looked bewildered at this binding that he hadn't seen before. Ignoring him, Angie silently flipped through the pages, opened to one of them, and showed him. On that page was a handwritten paragraph beginning to my beloved witch apprentice. And at the end there was a signature in katakana that said Beatrice.
それは。
The instant he glanced at it, his face went pale. She knew the answer before asking, but Angie asked it loud anyway.
このページに記されている文章の筆跡は、メッセージボトルの筆跡と一致しますか？
いや、持ち帰って詳しく調べないことには。
She's not gonna allow that. She's not gonna give it to you.
失礼だが、この本は一体どこで？
The man stretched out his hand, but Angie pulled it back, as though telling him not to touch it with his filthy hands.
ありがとう。その反応だけで結構です。今日はありがとうございました。これ、お約束の謝礼です。
But yeah, what is maybe he's just fascinated about the book, right? And what is written? Which Beatrice? He didn't even say if that is the same handwriting though, right? As she stood up clutching Maria's diary, Angie carelessly tossed a wad of 10,000 yen notes wrapped in a strip of paper onto the table. Jesus Christ. I wish I could do that, right? An insane amount of money, and Angie turned her back to him and made to leave. The man raised his voice as though clinging to her. But Angie didn't stop walking.
お願いだ。その本は一体。謝礼はいらない。その本を見せてくれ。
私とあなたはウィッチハントの同志だけど、求める深さが違うみたい。あなたが楽しんでるのは猫箱の外側。そして私が知りたいのは猫箱の内側。そしてこの一冊は、その猫箱を開く鍵ね。あなたには過ぎてるわ。
It's too good for you.
じゃあね。Goodbye, gentlemen. Have a nice day.
I really like whenever like Japanese talks English, whenever in anime and stuff. I just find it funny.
待ってくれ！すまねえさん！
His voice didn't reach her. She had already joined up with Amakusa and gone into the car. Dude, this scene was so
収
good.
穫はありましたか？
最後の最後にね。やっぱりそうだった。メッセージボトルを記したのは、ベアトリーチェ本人だった。
そいつはクールだ。魔女は実在するで決着で？
さあね。寝ていい？
Oh, but then again, she only showed that last part though. She didn't show Maria's writing. So I was gonna say like, oh, maybe it was Maria. Maybe Maria survived. But yeah, she showed only the part, I guess, where Beatrice wrote. What do you call this? To you, my apprentice, right? But yeah, but then again, they got notes from Maria, and then they compared it to the to the message in the bottles, but it was different, right? Yeah, it was different.
おしゃべり教授。きっと講義では自分の世界に入っちゃって、寝ちゃう子続出だと思うわ。
So it cannot be Maria. At least, for now.
どうぞどうぞ、お休みを。
しかし、うまくいくもんね。
He really did.
あいつ、私のこと、スマデラだと最後まで信じてたわ。
I was a Sumadera. The Sumadera family had set up a web beforehand around any people Enji might try to contact. They had offered rewards to anyone who could take Oshinomiya Enji into custody if she appeared. So Enji had foreseen that and had snatched it away. She had called herself Sumadera, and after cleverly tricking the man by saying her own subordinates would set up an ambush, so he didn't need to worry about it if she had taken him outside. So when the Sumadera family pursuers reached the professor's house, there was no longer anyone there.
家人の話では午前中にスマデラを名乗る若い男女が訪れ、教授を連れ出したきりまだ帰宅しないそうです。裏をかかれた可能性が。
いけない子ね、エンジェちゃんは。
Okay, Kasumi's here again.
そういう悪知恵、姉さんの血なのかしらね。あんなに名乗るのは嫌だと言ってたスマデラの名を気安く名乗ってくれちゃうなんて。そのうち教授もお戻りになるだろうさ。そしたらソチャでも振る舞わないとね。
Yeah, serve him some tea, meaning we're gonna torture him. Even the guard is kind of scared.
了解しました。
私を手玉に取ったつもりかしら。やんちゃな子なんだから。
I wonder if there are people like this in the real world. I mean, for sure there is, but I would never want to experience this. With a demonic look on her face, Kasumi violently stamped on her heel. I'll teach you about my magic of origins. No, I taught you before, right? And you used it before. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, Enji, with your name entered into a marriage sorcière, weren't you?
私も魔女に加えてもらったんだっけ？
Okay, so let us take a break here. Honestly, very, very nice episodes. Gave me some stuff to theorize about, and I love it. I love it when the game gives me stuff to theorize about. I'll put this. I think I'll make a list. I'll try to remember the other ones, but I might forget about them. But yeah, I think I'll put a list on all the truths that we find, I guess, in this episode. Like, yeah, in this episode we got Kinzo, them saying Kinzo was dead. I'll put that in the truths for episode 4. Let's say it like that. And yeah, I'll make a list, and then in the ending of this episode we can maybe talk about it, right? But yeah, I'll put this one of them in this truth here. The message in the bottles. My theory that maybe it's a survivor. Maybe Butler. Maybe bigger chance, I guess. Bigger chance because Butler is main character. He's in the meta world when we see him, right? He's playing games with Beatrice. So maybe if someone survived, it's possible, highly likely, it may be him. Putting these messages in the bottle because maybe he's traumatized of what happened on that island. he doesn't really know. I mean, it could mess you up, for example, right? Like, yeah, you saw some big tragedy, and then you can't really remember what happened, like, fully. So you make all these stories up, different kind of stories. Same outline, 2 days, but the contents are different. It could be possible like that. And maybe the reason why he didn't want to, like, let's say, go to Ava is maybe it reminds him of the island, the incident in the island. Yeah, just theory for now, but it kind of makes sense, right? Maybe, I don't know. But it's so nice to theorize, and I can't wait to do more of that as we go through the story. So anyways, we are gonna continue this and do more of Umineko When They Cry episode 4 in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.